Hello everyone who is together with us. Today we are beginning the online live from Linoleum Festival, and today we begin the series of 3 lectures for children, for adolescents, and for those who would like to begin their way to become the animation director. What we will be speaking about during those 3 days. We will try to give the answers, where to go, what to do, and which new skills you need to gain to become an animation director finally. So, today I'm ready to introduce you our guest, that is Anastasiia Falileieva, who is just together with me here. Anastasiia Falileieva is the young animation director, and in spite of her young age, Anastasiia has already implemented lots of animation projects, and she's the award winner of lots of festivals, both international and Ukrainian ones. She's a nominant of the award Cinema Kinokola 2019. She's also the founder of the animation studio Plastic Bag, and the animation director of the Copy Studio and Chronica Video Content Agency. Also, she's the VJ artist and the animator of the Piano Boy Band. So yes, I had to read a lot, but in fact, it seems like the age of Anastasiia is not that substantial, but still you can see that Anastasiia has lots of prestigious ranks. So what will Anastasiia be speaking with us about? I know that Anastasiia has prepared a story about her own experience of how she went along the way towards the rank of the animation director. So Nastya, I'm so happy that you're here together with us. I'm happy to be at Linoleum for the 3rd time in a row already. So let us begin our conversation. What did everything begin with? What was your interest? How old were you when the interest emerged? Well, it emerged when I could watch the Snow White at the VHS 7 times a day. That was my favorite cartoon. And I began to think how it was all done. And what is done beyond the frame? What is hidden in the bushes in the Soviet cartoon 38 parrots? But still, I began to do something really when I was 12 years old. Do you see our presentation now? Well, we can show your presentation, in fact, yes. So this is my brand hen or chicken. That's me, and I was already spoken about, so I won't introduce myself anymore. And this is how my ways throughout the animation is looking like. Now we're speaking about my so-called childhood. So you can turn off my presentation. So, when I was 11 or 12, I was given a gift, my first iPad, and there was an app of stop-motion animation there installed. Then I shot, well, not even animation films, just kinds of sketches with puppets of Barbie and Monster Hub in my doll's house. You will be able to see that in my show reel throughout the years. And I think it would be considerable and relevant to show it now until I tell about the whole way. Okay, let us watch the show reel year by year.
Ребята? За моим пианино летучие мыши.
Казка про дівчинку, море.
This is a fairy tale about the girl, the sea, and the stone frogs. She was looking at the sea, she was throwing the stones and imagining that she will hit the fish and it will go to the court about the injuries, because everything has its own consequences, even if we just throw stones into the water.
The weird king. He was the king of weirdness, and his majesty was absolutely weird. Sometimes he was surprised by his own actions and ideas, but no doubt, he was gorgeous.
Master Oleg Pedan, jazz. Trout.
Мы растим человека-рыбу. Берем их, воспитываем.
We are growing man-fish. We're growing them, bringing them up. We feed them twice a day. They don't complain, so that is enough. And they're living with us for a long time. Yes, even after revolution. My grandfather said, well, those are the ones who like the nature.
Сірий котку.
I live in the city of Kuroi, and it's really scary. The weather is getting worse lately, and I cannot shoot so often as I used to.
この前いつものやつらでフェスに行ったんだけど、音すっげえ良くてさ、やっぱ海外アーティストって盛り上げ方半端ねえんだよな。元気出して、家着いたら連絡して。
分かった。みつお、またね。
うん、気をつけて。またね。
So much footage. Well, in fact, that was rather complicated and touching to create this show reel, because my first works were found in some of my social media, and I even forgot about that. So I like how I was so bold and courageous in my early works when I was trying to play with the light or with the frame, and now I try to do everything in the academic way. Maybe I should come back to that way it used to be. So in fact, yes, since those times when I was creating the animation of the doll for the first time, almost 8 years passed. This is a scary and terrifying figure for me, because my hobby of animation is already going to the 3rd grade. So out of those 8 years, 4 of them are of real production, something like that. It's really weird for me to think about this like that. So approximately in 2011 or 12, I was given a gift of iPad, so I created it in the studio, holding iPad in one hand and moving the doll with my second hand. So in 2013, my dad bought me a photo camera, and I began to shoot pushing the button. And you shouldn't do that. You should take the shots through the apps. You shouldn't touch the camera with your hand, but that's what I used to do because I didn't know any other way. And I also didn't know how to edit. That is why I just looked through the frames on my photo camera and showed everyone. I know that Rodion Shup used to do the same way, but he just showed different pictures on the computer. So yes, lots of people did it like that. Then later I began to edit in the cinema studio. And then I had a breakthrough moment when I entered the University of Karpenko-Kari and began the student of Oleg Pedan. And the showreel was the same, and then you saw the phrase Master Oleg Pedan 2014. This was my first thesis, which had the name of Jazz. And I really don't like this movie, but it brings some warm reminiscences about how I used to be a very little girl, and I was inspired by the master, by the atmosphere the master created for us around animation. So I think that it was a very important and key stage in my development. That is why I consider that the basic education is really needed in Ukraine or abroad or at any courses and trainings, but there should be a mentor. And it's so important to find your own mentor who would really be pro you, be for you, and any your idea, and will help you eventually. Then, during this period of time, from till the third course at the university, third year, I created some ads. I was trying to shoot something on my own, spending my own money. I was working at different studios, at different productions. I think that I have been working at all of the studios where you can find stop motion or traditional animation, because I'm working only with analog, only with dolls, with clay and something like this. But 2 years ago, I would consider the first professional short movie until Transback, which was really had its breakthrough at the festivals, and this is how my way into the cinema began. And now, my last film, Taiga, was the last in the showreel. It hasn't been announced so far. Well, maybe you shouldn't speak about it. No, I shouldn't speak about it now. We will speak about it a bit later. Just in a couple of weeks, or maybe in a month. Everybody will get to know about it. But so far, this is the last stage I've achieved. So we had a quick run through your animation biography, and I noticed that you began to speak about your 12-year-old, then you spoke how you entered the university when you were 16, yes. So what happened during those 4 years? What kept you on the surface, inspired? What did you do during all of those 4 years? Was the animation still in your life during these times? Yes, sure. As I mentioned, I was given a photo camera, so I just showed all of the frames and added in the cinema studio of Windows. I tried different apps, and then I didn't know what Drums Frames is, only the master told me about that. Then I tried different weird animation scary things created by someone else. And then what also kept me on the surface, well, since childhood I'm drawing every day, constantly, and at some moment it has become boring for me just to draw. I wanted my drawings to move, so this is the key point. I like to say that I heard it somewhere, so I also like to repeat the words that animation should be done only when you can't help not doing it. So, because when it's coming from you, when it's coming out of you, when you want your dolls or your drawings to move, or when you see that you want to create some magic in this world, then you need to deal with that. Or if you go to this profession only because it's very unusual, prestigious, or cool, there is a huge probability that you won't achieve any result, because the work is very interesting. It's the best profession in the world, but it's incredibly complicated, and we will mention about that later as well. But now it's timely to say that it should be your inspiration, and I would really impressed by that. Yes, those were dolls on the hinges, and I decided to create some dolls myself. They were not that useful and convenient for shooting. It's a pity I don't have them on me now, those dolls, because they're so cool. They look cool, but they totally are not animatable because they are on the wires and they have really cool hinges. So this is what I did during this period, and since my 16 years old in the university, I dealt with the cinema, so-called. We created certain tests and exercises. We showed something reflecting on that beforehand. And my way, I would say, is a kind of a standard one, but a very nice one. When I had the painter school, then the usual school, the artist school, then I was so lucky with my master, my mentor, then the producer, so step by step I was really lucky. It could seem that it was easy, but in fact, it was a very long and nervous way. Okay, what about our presentation? Alternative ways. I would like to tell about the alternative ways again, how you can come to animation, because gradually, as it used to be in my example, it doesn't work for everyone. Sometimes you're not that lucky to work with a good mentor or a master or to find connection with him or her, so lots of people are coming into the profession on their own. So we can hide this slide already. So, but when you have your own way, there is a huge chance that you are either stuck at the same place because you think, oh, this is already working, this movement is okay, though it won't be okay at all, and you won't have anyone to push you, to give you a kick. So, but what helped you? Criticism or praisals? Criticism, of course. My mentor did not praise me that often. When you begin to love yourself in the profession, not the profession itself, then it's not that good. When you love your movies, when you're so proud that I'm an animator, I met such people already, it's the right way to the failure. You need to love the profession itself. I forgot what I was telling about my own way. Yeah. So whatever is your own way, still you need to go to some courses or trainings, you need to read something, you need practice constantly. And you should never think that I finally achieved some point, that I already know something. Nobody got to know something. We're all on our way of training and studies. So this is a kind of unstable way. When you do that on your own, maybe you are the strongest. Only the strongest will survive. That's my opinion. And there are some stories when you're coming to the studio from scratch and you just trained at the studio as interns. And this is also a cool way. It seems that you're always also... Yes, I have my own way when I just came to the studio. But we will speak about my way just beyond the schedule. Okay. So when the person is coming to the studio and is trained there and then working there, it's a cool way as well. I think that internship is cool. And you can come not to the studio, but to some animator as a master, as your mentor, and to ask him to train you. If he has or she has enough time or wish, he will do that. And Rodion Shub is creating some workshops for children. He trains them and studies them. He's a pro in that. And I would like, in my childhood, I wish, or maybe in my adolescent period, to have, I wish I had such a cool mentor. So as for the underwater stones of my profession, or rocks, I have a huge list of my underwater rocks. As you can see on the surface, the festivals, the movies, I don't know, video clips, show reels, all of that is so fine and nice. But in fact, there are lots of hours of work behind that. You can hide my slide now. So the first thing I'd like to tell about is that for the animation you need to have some of the stamina, you need to sit a lot. As the working day, for instance, my working day is from 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. When you're in the pavilion, you're shooting and shooting your dolls, and that is why the name of this presentation is My Life Among the Dolls, because this is half of my life, just among the dolls. And you need to be totally committed to this process, but when you like it, you don't even notice those hours of work. And also, while you don't have the team, you need to do everything on your own. You need to hammer the nails, to create the carcasses, to create to wool, different glue and different materials, what can be combined with what, and even technically, without even coming to some artwork, technically you need to be really ready. So this is what was given by the basic education, because we had some lessons of physics and we were taught by about different glues, and I know how it can be used. I don't even know a special place where you can get to know about that. And also we need to understand that sometimes the timely preparation of your episode, the time can be much longer than the shooting itself. For instance, there was an episode with a street and rain, and also there is the machine with the vending machine with the snacks, and it was for the 5 days, but this episode was only for 3 or 4 seconds, and we needed to wield several schemes of light to create a small set and then to paint it. And then you will see it only for 3 seconds on the screen. So we can just sum it up. If you're ready for such a complicated way, and you understand that you need to sit for a week, and then to show only 1 second in the end of the day, and you have this patience, then you can really become an animator. Yes, patience is really important in that. And the constant practice, because stop motion cannot be done instantaneously. Even if it seems to you that it is moving already, it's already a huge mistake that this movement is real. Because it happened that only in 5 years, maybe this is a kind of a nostalgia, but only in 5 years I saw the normal movement with proper trajectories in the end. So you need to practice on a permanent basis and not to be afraid that you are failing. Everybody is failing. During my first year, I was just always crying because of the pendulum, and it should be as easy as it is, but still, during my first year, I wanted just to go away from the university, from animation, and I thought that the pendulum is not for me, that I will never be able to create it. So the most important rule in the stop motion is not to be afraid to experiment, not to be afraid of fuck-ups, to be ridiculous or maybe unexpected, unperceived, and then everything will be cool in the end of the day, just to go through, and that's it. And also, what I'm always saying to all of the beginners, if I notice that you shouldn't do any work for free. The same concerns stop motion and animation as it is. I think that it is an underrated sphere, as I heard from the people rather often that they had just animation, cartoons. Does anybody do that? Or it's done much quicker than the movie? No, guys. When you do the movie, you just push the button and it can be recorded and you have 1 minute of recording. But in animation, 1 minute can be done in different ways. Sometimes it can be shot in a month. So what's your average speed of shooting? Would you tell about it now and then, when you just were a beginner? I will finish about this because I will forget what I was speaking about. So, people don't understand how hard it is. They can't ask you to, they can ask you to do something for free or for a very low price. So I am advising everyone, please communicate with other professionals and ask them how much they were paid in the beginning of their career way and how much they take now, or what's the standard price of the State Cinema Commission. Not to underrate or not devaluate your work. Because when one animator appoints the price of, I don't know, 3 hryvnia a second and the other one appoints the price of $35, the customer just does not understand why so. And he thinks that $35 is a bit too much. But in fact, it's a minimum. It's a normal way. That's what accepted. And acceptable in Europe, in the US, at our place, and so on. Coming back to your question about the speed of shooting. In fact, I'm shooting rather quickly. And when I used to work at Stepan Koval at the studio, he always named me a rocket, because I was just shooting and showed what I've done, and they said, "Is that it?" I said, "Yes, it is." But it depends on the task. There are certain episodes which I can shoot, they're not that complicated, and it takes only, I can give you 10 seconds a day even. But there are some episodes where I spend 3 days for 3 seconds, and I can just making everything subtle. That's what I like to say, to make it subtle. But once it happened that my friends animators told, "Don't tell anyone because nobody will believe me." I shot 40 seconds a day of not that complicated animation. But it was really exhausting. It was 18 years of my work in a row and 18 hours, so I had to be in time for the deadline, but I wouldn't advise anyone to do that. It was awful. When I shot it in the beginning, I was doing that super quickly because I didn't do that much frames in a second. I did it like this, and of course everything was much quicker. But when I came to the university and my mentor told me, all of that is just thrown away, you just should forget about that, it's awful, we are beginning from scratch. Then I was sitting and shooting for a long time because everything has been under control. For all of the details to be proper, all of the curves, and if something is wrong, the mentor said, you should redo it. So I cannot assess if I have become quicker, but in some moments I can just begin to shoot just without any stoppages.
What else do I have left here? Participation in festivals. I met animators who are sometimes at the beginning of their career pathway really sad that they are not being invited to the festivals because everybody wants to walk the red carpet, get a glass of champagne poured for them, but it's gonna come later. You gotta try, you gotta apply everywhere. Even with your debut works, even if it is mediocre, you still can apply. Of course, you're not gonna go straight to Cannes right away, but you still should give it a try. And you should also understand that festivals are only 5% of your old time, such as live broadcast festivals and workshops. They are a cool thing, but the majority of your time should be dedicated to work. to earn money for these festivals, lectures, and workshops. I always emphasize it, what attitude you should have towards festivals and all of that. It is valuable, but to achieve that, you have to feel that you're in the right place. You have to properly understand what you're capable of doing. For example, I don't like applying for some small festivals, and I know that some of the people who just started doing animation are applying, and here is me with a degree, and I'm applying with my film and I win. No, that's not fun. It is great when there is a great competition, when you have good competitors. But again, festival is not about competition. This is a celebration of animation, of something that is interesting to others. This is awareness raising about our profession, and when we make it popular, people start treasuring and valuing us more, and everything becomes really awesome for everybody, and we start doing it even better. This is the circle of animation utopia. Let's put it that way. Great. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I see we have some questions, but we can answer those questions slightly later. Well, how about we ask questions, because sometimes questions take a lot of time. Some people are saying that you're very talented. It was written by Diana Trusheva. Oh. She says that you're doing a great job. She praises you a lot. Almosienko, she's saying, hi, you're so awesome. Hi. Also, Almosienko comments that she remembers you back in Vkontakte social network with that cartoon about a girl and stones. I remember when we posted it in some VK public and 1,000 people viewed it, and I thought, oh my god, 1,000 people viewed my video. And now this seems to be so ridiculous, but back then it was a real achievement. People are watching my TikTok profile more now. More questions? Yulia Kuznetsova is asking, are you ready to serve as a mentor or master for 2B animators? Are you ready to teach others to be the master? In fact, I did it a couple of times. There was stop motion animation in Powers to Play. Hi guys, love you lots. We came out with a course that lasted 3 months, I guess, and also recently there was a workshop in Kama School, also for beginners. It was an introductory course to stop motion. But I don't know, to be honest, because I criticize myself a lot, I criticize others a lot, and those who work with production, they know that sometimes I can even be cruel or very rough. In terms of deadlines, everything has to be ready in time and all that. That is why I'm afraid that if I start teaching, I will act as my master acted when mentoring me. I will be asking to work on 100%. Even though my master liked me a lot, he always was overseeing what I do. He wanted me to do everything as good as possible because of him being so nice to me. He was very rough. He's saying, Nastya, you did a good job, but let's redo it. And I'm afraid that I will be like that. But say, if you're invited, will you answer yes or no? Depending on the project, depending on whether I'll have production. Because thank God I'm constantly involved in production, and I have very small breaks due to 3 months between productions. The longest would be 4 months. And it will be difficult for me to combine it all because I will not be able to refuse from producing myself and work with the trainees is quite complicated and requires you to be invested because you're responsible for what you're teaching others. And I would like to teach them not simply how to do stop motion with your iPhone, but working with dragon frame, different cameras, light, and other things about skeletons, and I have to be ready for that, as well as my students have to be ready for that. They should know that it's going to be quite a vigorous program, something like that. But I tried it a couple of times. Then one more question. And probably you'd like to dive deeper into some other topic. Yulia Kuznetsova also says, what topics would you like to raise in animation? What are you interested in specifically? What ideas do you want to implement in animation? What do you want to promote? I very much am interested in existential topics. In the latest work, I raised the topic of jealousy, mental issues, because I have been through this myself and I'm very interested in this topic. That is why I'm trying to show how a person living with a depression, functioning in a family, how they impact them. I want to show what it looks like from within. There is this girl, Katsumi. Can we please do the close-up? But we can see her. This is Katsumi. Yes, this girl. She's Katsumi. She is in a terrible depression and everything is shown from her viewpoint. And how her best friend Mitsu is coping with that. And this is not something scary. Of course, it is served as a fairy tale, but these are the topics that I'm interested in. Or different scary topics of losing somebody, but I don't want to talk about it now because we are celebrating animation here rather than talking about psychology. This is not the club of depressed animators. Great. So, should we follow the presentation? Let's take a look at our presentation. And here you can see my Instagram profiles, my personal Instagram and Studio Plastic Bag Instagram. This is Instagram profile of my studio. And this is the label which all of my cartoons are published on. Also now I'm working at Copy Studio, and my latest film will be done together by Studio Plastic Bag and Copy. But subscribe, follow please, because you'll see lots of different cool things, insights and posts from festivals. I think that after today's meeting you also will get another dozen people subscribing to your profile. Awesome! Then, talking about our characters whom you brought, could you please tell who made them one by one? Or are there some that you created yourself? What is the process? What is needed for that? Yes, but these are 3 skeletons by my master and 1 by me. Let's do them one by one. First, here is the tiger, Amita and Katsumi. These are from the latest film. The master did skeleton for the tiger. He said that it was the most complicated one out of which he did, because anatomically it looks like a tiger. It was quite difficult to work on it. And he only made the frame, and then I edit all of the other parts, the paws, the face. Next, Katsumi and Mitsu. Katsumi It was the skeleton by Master, and Mitsu was my skeleton. We did it with Grandpa, because my grandpa is an engineer, and he helps me when I have to create some large props, bridges for my shoots. Yeah. And one more secret. Katsumi is actually Hikaru, because I didn't have enough skeletons. That is why I was taking Hikaru's head, pulling all of the stuffings, and he turned into a girl with the reincarnation. Annabelle is not my doll. This is by my master from one of his cartoons, and I brought it today here for a reason. Soon he's gonna be one of the characters in my film, so we're gonna work with it a little bit. It also has a skeleton, but it is teeny tiny. It is already for animation, yes. It also the same skeleton as the guys and the tiger, it is just smaller. And everything can move, all of the parts can move. He doesn't have ears. I've forgotten. They are separated. It looks creepy. Yeah, let's put the helmet back on. He also has a scarf that is flexible so that you can animate it. Very cute. Can I ask, do you have only one copy? Yeah, one copy. All of them are mainly in one copy, and when they break, oh, this is a huge trouble. You have to start fixing them, sticking things together, because Tiger and Katsumi are almost in 12 minutes of the cartoon, and I'm really grateful to them for having survived through it. I think that the skeletons will not be used anymore. They will just stay as they are. Next question. Mikita Liskov comments, what will the next film be about? Which one? The one that I've just finished, the one that you saw, or the one that's gonna happen after that? Well, I think that if he knows about one, then the next one. Mikita, the next one will be about Oleg, and Katsumi will be there, the bear will be there, and it will be a 3-minute sketch about Oleg. But this is something that I will announce on the 6th of September here at Linoleum. I suggest we move on and answer more questions, and we have quite a serious question. What are the prospects of stop-motion development in Ukraine, in your opinion? In my opinion, maybe we could ask it put it in a different way. Would you like to continue working in Ukraine, or would you like to work abroad as well? I would like to work in Ukraine, but also show my cartoons abroad, because I have huge dreams, and of course I would like to be Ukrainian animator who also works at the international arena. Therefore, to be honest, it seems to me that I'm not part of the crew, because I have my producer studio, and we are just mingling there with them. We have a director and cameraman. We're working together, not really paying attention to what is happening around us. I don't know whether it is good or bad, the fact that we're so focused on our own production. I don't know. For some reason, I think that we all will be focused on our films and all that. The quality of them will be awesome, and that will be quite good. To be honest, I don't know how to answer that question. But stop motion in Ukraine does have a future. There are many cool guys who are producing cool things. We are well aware of them. Of course, there are not that many, about 5, but it definitely has future. and it's gonna be a very bright future. Who are these people? Who can teach you stop motion animation? I am afraid that I might forget some names. I'm sorry. If I forget to name somebody, it's just that I'm really nervous. Of course, Andrea and Tina, Rodion Shub, Dana Malucha, Roman Zvankovsky. Sorry. Stopakova Studio. Mikhailisko, I'm not counting you because you're not stop motion animator. Oksana Kurmas also is, I'm not counting on her because she's also not doing stop motion. Katya Voznitz, I know that she wants to work with stop motion. Whom else do we have? Well, you have already named about 10 people. This is enough. And these people are from Kiev. So you can Google these names, find out more about these people, ask more questions. And I personally also know that these people are very ready to cooperate with others, so you can even start contacting them. And also Mr. Klimchuk and Ella Bilik. And lots of other people. And just that, oh, my favorite animator, Andrei Slisarevsky. He's a genius, but he keeps working at somebody else's projects. Andrei, I really want to see your own film. I'm your fan. This is the problem, that many people are hesitant or not willing to do their own production. Only a couple of people, Andrew Zanskovsky, me, have their own production, and the rest are working at the studios with somebody else, and they are cool. But I really want to see their own product. You got me, right? I'm gonna keep following you. Okay, let's move on. I see we have more questions coming. Here is a question. Is it possible to work with you? Where should I message you? Very often I get emails with show reels and different things, but better DM me on Instagram. Maybe we're gonna come up with something. Of course, I cannot make promises because I have a team that works with me all the time, and I don't often cooperate with new people because I have already told you that I'm quite a closed person, but I would really like to find out who they are, and probably we'll be able to work together or work on some project, or maybe I will recommend you some project. So please message me. And a quick spoiler now, I am working on one small stop motion TV series, and I work with different people on every episode. If you're an artist or an animator who will suit us in terms of style and level of your work, probably will be able to cooperate. So let's give it a try. You can direct message me on Plastic Bag account. Are you ready to work with volunteers? Is it possible, say, when you have to do something for heroes and you need some help? Yes, that can be the case. Especially when I was making a huge wall with postcards or filled with 600 tulips. I was making them at night with my mom. I have experience of working, for example, I had worked with a girl who was supposed to make dresses for Katsumi, and she did some outfits that looked terrible, and it took her 3 months. And then I went to a person who lived in Croatia, Brennan Mitsu, and his hand is also falling off all the time now. So I'm being very careful with all that, but I can delegate some things. But all of the main job is done by me. I still haven't reached the compromise, but I have the team of people who are working with decorations, and there were about 20 people working on one of my last works, and about 6 people working on decorations, because people are multitasking. For example, Oleg, my sound director, my best friend, and the person with whom we always keep doing things, he's great at composing, and he's great at editing this music, and also helps me with props. So to start working with you, you have to go through a verification and be multitasking person. Yes, you have to be a multitasking person. And we should also have it click between us. You know, this is how it works. Everybody's looking for their team. You're looking for people really, really carefully. If some animator or some studio is refusing you, this is not the end of the world. I was also refused multitudes of times. When I was looking for the first animation job, I googled cartoon production Kiev, and then I saw in the Google search results something that had to do with multiplying something, but a production facility, which didn't have anything to do with cartoons production or animation. But now you can also work remotely, and you don't have to say how old you are and simply produce your cool animation, because age doesn't matter how great you are doing your job, only your knowledge and skills. Next, Ivanai says, hi Nastya. You are an animation wizard. What would you like to make your dolls from in the future? Eva, oh my god. The dolls, well, I don't know. I really want to try and work with more silicone, do the hands out of silicone, because it probably will make the hands look better. So that's what I want to give a try, to make the fingers look slender and nice. Yes, because now I'm using a very complicated approach, and when the hand breaks down, I'm like, oh my god, why? Because I'm making 5 hands, and then I'm picking only one that fits me. Because sometimes something spills, sometimes something sticks out. That's why I want to try to do it with silicone. If you know how to work with thin layers of silicone, then welcome to Plastic Bag profile on Instagram, or email me, and we're gonna start cooperating with you. One more question by Yulia Kuznetsova. What are relationship between animator and their dolls after you're done working on your film? Do you keep them at some special place, or do you want to work with them again and come up with something? To be honest, I don't feel like working with them once again. I don't really like the films that I have already created. When you have just done it, when it is something fresh, and you go with your dolls to festivals, because they always come with the dolls to the festivals, you feel very warm feelings towards her. But when I'm involved in some other production, undoubtedly, I have turned Hikaru to Katsumi. For me, this is not that much of a problem. But, for example, this film was very personal for me, very complex. Sometimes I could even cry when I was filming it. And I think that I'm gonna keep them. I'm gonna keep these. I don't have a special place to keep them. They are packed in a transparent film so that nothing happens to them. Sometimes I check them, look whether everything is fine, if they haven't gotten rusty, but I don't keep them at a special place. I don't like lots of stuff surrounding me. And now I'm not at the studio for a couple of months while there was no production. They are packed at home. When I will be at the studio, they will be standing on a shelf next to different awards, diplomas, and other things. So you are keeping them, but if necessary, I can let them go without feeling sorry. Yes, and the same with locations. I have only one location that I kept, is a cafe from the last cartoon, because it looks great on its own. It is like an art piece. It has a floor, walls, and everything. It looks cool. And the rest of locations, I simply throw them away, and that's it. Or I'm using some parts so that there is not much garbage produced. Okay, Nastya, I have a question to you. Say, if you have a production process, how much time can you dedicate to production a day? 9 to 7 or 10 to 7? Sometimes I oversleep, that's why I don't make it by 9 till 7 p.m. or sometimes it can be till 12. If I have something that I do after work, then till 7. If not, then till I fall asleep. But only on my production, because sometimes I had to do overtime when working for somebody else, and I was really mad. And when I'm working with my guys, I'm not forcing them to do overtime. Everybody comes when they feel like it, when there is a task that they have to commit. The most important thing is to do that in a good way. And when I'm working myself, well, I can work for long hours. You just forget about the time. You get fully invested into it. Time is almost up. Let us sum up. What would you like to convey to the young, creative people who probably are not even working with animation, but only making their mind? Probably somebody has just learned that there is this kind of profession, an animator. What would you recommend based on your experience? A step-by-step recommendation. Don't be afraid to stand out. Don't be afraid on being pushy and persistent, but at the same time being flexible. And don't be afraid of first doing something bad, but then getting better and better and better, and in the end everything's gonna be good. And work a lot to love your job, not love yourself in it, but simply love your job. Of course, you gotta love yourself as well, but separately. You have to separately love yourself and separately love your profession. And also be critical about yourself, but at the same time praise yourself. And always keep in mind that you are doing a good job. And look at how many things you have already done. That's why it doesn't make sense quitting it all. Well, you can quit it if you find something that you're as passionate about as you're passionate about animation. How do you think? Do you have lots of young animators in Ukraine? What are your observations? Well, based on what happens in universities, there are lots of people, because we're only seven kids, and now there are up to 20 and even more young people going for it. And Radion has already trained some people, in different schools also have raised lots of them, so I think everything is good. The most important thing is doing your job. One more question. What are your sources of inspiration? When you're really tired, when you understand that you're overworking, when you're fully immersed in animation, what helps you? Say maybe you take a break, or what inspires you when you already feel tired because of the process? When I feel tired, I go and work out. Not everybody knows what you do. Half my life I've been doing ballet and skating, but this is something that helps me to relax. I don't think about anything else, especially when I go skating, when you're jumping, when you're turning. I'm doing figure skating specifically. There's something that allows me to relax, and you can see that on my Instagram, and you can also see that in my previous film. I also love skylight. All the time I'm looking up, I keep taking pictures of the sky all the time. And simply people, I love observing how people move. And often I tell people, oh, you all the time keep doing something, and I'm showing them move, and they're like, how? How did you mention that even? And I say, I don't know. I simply like observing people, and this observation then is transferred to animation. I wouldn't say that it inspires me, but it fills it up. Yes, there is an inspiration, but also there is this work mood. And this work mood is critically important to me. And inspiration is something, is like appetite that comes during meal. And also you said that you work out, that you do ballet and figure skating. Does that help you in creating animation? So can you put it through yourself and then translate it to your dolls?
Не знаю.
Well, I don't know, but as I'm doing that, I'm doing figure skating since early childhood, both animation and figure skating. It always used to be a combination, a mix, but lots of people from this side say that I have sometimes some theatrical moves, and the same concerns my dolls. Those dolls are moving a bit of a different way. For instance, when I came to the movie of my master, The Circus on the Wire, I came there not as a director, but as an animator, the actor of the doll who is the ballet dancer. And he invited me because I knew how it should be done. And that is why this doll is dancing how it should dance, with the proper moves, with all the positions of the legs. So all of that is done. Well, we need to redo her legs, because it won't be done with the position of the legs. We should create it as the ballet dancers do. Cool. I can see that we've already spent our time, our hour, which was allocated for us, is over. I'm really thankful for you for such a conversation. I'm sure that those who watched us today can take something out of that. You told about lots of people, not only about yourself, but about lots of other people who is teaching animation in Ukraine. So watch us tomorrow as well. We will be speaking about the studies and training and experience from other speakers tomorrow at 12 a.m. So please join us live. We'll be waiting for you. This is a kind of a short announcement. And also, if there are any questions left, you can write it to my Instagram of Studio or Kozada Reza Studio. I can tell you whatever I can. Perfect. So I thank you as well for the retention for all of our spectators, both grown-ups and little ones, in spite of your age. If you're still interested in animation, just begin doing it in spite of whether you know anything about it or you don't, because today we had a conclusion that you shouldn't just be afraid, you should do. So please, inspiration to all of you, and see you. Goodbye.